So our next Mishnah, Mishnah 8 in the 3rd chapter of Pirkei Avot, is taught in the name of Rabbi Elazar Ish Bar Torsa, Rabbi Elazar of Bar Torsa. And he's going to be speaking to us about charity. Now, just to give him a very brief biographical background to him, he was a Tana of the 3rd generation, that's in the first half of the 2nd century of the Common Era. And he was a disciple of Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania. He transmits 4 rulings in his name, but he was also a contemporary of Rabbi Akiva, with whom apparently he differed on a number of occasions, and he studied and flourished in Yavne, which of course was the great center of Torah learning at the time. Before we actually learn the Mishnah that he teaches, let me tell you a story which is related in the Talmud about him, which will then put the Mishnah that he teaches in complete perspective. So the Talmud recounts that whenever the charity officials used to have these people going around, collecting charity for the community, they were the officials would distribute the money. There were several kinds of 2 separate arrangements, a weekly arrangement, which is called a tamchuri. It was the plate. Everybody would contribute on a weekly basis, so the poor in the town would have food for Shabbat, etc. And you had these designated people who would go around and make the collections. And the Talmud says that whenever these charity officials in charge of collecting and distributing the money to the poor, when they saw Rabbi Elazar of Bar Torsa, they would hide away from him because he would insist on giving them all the money he had with him. And on one day, he went to the marketplace to acquire a dowry for his daughter who was about to be married. Of course, you buy something and it's given to the family of the Khatan and you prepare for the wedding, etc. And the charity officials caught sight of him. And in great haste, they tried their best to hide away from him as usual, but they were too late. And Rabbi Elazar had noticed them, and he ran after them and to catch them up. And he says, tell me, he said, what are you collecting for today? And they wouldn't tell him. So he says, I adjure you, I'm giving you under oath, you're obligated to tell me what your business is about. And so they said, well, we've been gathering a dowry for an orphaned boy and girl to give them the means to be able to marry and to begin life together. Upon my oath, he retorted, they come before my daughter. And he took all the money that he was carrying and gave it to them with the exception of 1 zuz, which was a coin which was valued at a quarter of a shekel. And that's the only coin that remained in his pocket. With that zuz, he bought wheat, a little bit of wheat. He couldn't buy very much wheat. And he left it in his storeroom. A little while later, his wife asked his daughter, what did your father bring you for your dowry? So the daughter wasn't quite sure. She says, well, whatever he bought me, I think he put it into the storeroom. So very curious, the wife went to see what it was that her husband had actually purchased. And when she came to the storeroom door to see for herself, she tried as she might, she couldn't push the door open. And she just saw that there was wheat pouring out even through the door socket and the pivot, and the wheat just pouring out of this so much wheat in there. And in great excitement, her daughter ran to the Beit Midrash where Rabbi Elazar, of course, was studying, and told them this fantastic, good, wonderful news. She said, come see what's happened to your wheat. It's amazing. It's absolutely miraculous. And see what the Almighty has done for you because of your good deeds. So what did he do? Upon my oath, he replied, that wheat is kadosh. It's sanctified, sacrosanct. You are not allowed to touch it. If it's sacrosanct food, we can't touch it ourselves. It came by way of divine miracle. It was a sacred trust that was given to us for feeding the poor. You can have a share of it if you like any other poor person of the land, but that's all that you can have. And that was the man we're talking about. So quite extraordinary in terms of his tzedakah. And as we'll see from the Mishnah that we'll see on the next occasion, that was reflected in his words as well.